There's news, there's massive news, and then there's the other shoe just dropped. Get ready for all hell type of news. And the latter actually occurred on Friday when it was announced that the Big Ten and the SEC are partnering together to reshape the landscape of college athletics. What exactly does this entail? What are some areas that the Big Ten and the SEC are looking to target against the NCAA? And case in point, is this the end of the NCAA having any verdict in the world of college football as we know it? Let's go ahead and discuss. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel. Make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. We talk college football every single day. Recap in 2023, a look ahead to 2024, major milestone news such as this. So if this is the daily dose of college football you need to survive the dreaded offseason, might I recommend that you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me what are your thoughts on the NCAA versus the Big Ten versus the SEC. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionados, really anybody that enjoys any bit of college football about this channel, because we're on the race and soon we'll be the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Go ahead and follow me on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, slide in the DMs, ask me questions at Mr. Cole Thompson. But that way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. So the SEC and the Big Ten are teaming up to reshape college sports. And this comes in light of the news of everything going on in Knoxville and with Virginia right now in the lawsuit with the NCAA, mostly relegated towards Nico Iamaleava's recruiting assessment. But one of the things that we've known about the NCAA for a long time, they make up rules that I don't even think they can comprehend. There are so many wishy-washy turnstiles of finite finalities and dark little loopholes in there that nobody seems to comprehend. And so when the NCAA goes ahead and presents their findings, the schools are sitting and saying, hey, no, that's not true. When we did it, that was not the case. Well, it is the case now, but we didn't do it at said case. You're changing the rules. You're making up rules that we don't even think you understand. So why should we listen to you? And so now, with the constant changes of NIL, the transfer portal, window dates, you have also 2 signing periods. The Big Ten and the SEC are partnering together. And it's so interesting because of the first thing that everyone thought, say it with me, super conference. And then the second thought was, well, why are we not including the ACC and the Big 12? Aren't they Power 4 conferences? For starters, don't even worry about what term we're coming up with for the future of college football. Just throw it out the window. It's the Power 2 and it's the A2. And the A2 is the ACC and the Big 12. There's schools that are going to be affected by these changes. They can have an input on these changes. And both Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti came out and said, we would like input from other programs, from other conferences. This is one thing that we are trying to do, but we're not going to pigeonhole it to where we are only the ones in say. And the Big 12 falls in line for this, but let's make it abundantly clear. Average revenue, SEC and Big Ten reign supreme. Average number of attendance, SEC and Big Ten reign supreme. Average return of recruiting classes, #1 and #2 recruiting classes, usually SEC and Big Ten reign supreme. Value and return game in the transfer portal, Big Ten and the SEC reign supreme. So there is a separation between the two. And I don't think the league wants to get to a super league where we eventually rid ourselves of what the college football playoff is supposed to be with 12 teams, where we only focus in on these games and these formalities to determine who are the national champions. I just think that they're tired of having to hear the NCAA get involved. Think of it like a bully on the playground. He's pulling down people's Dunkaroos. He's making sure that he's pulling pigtails of the girls in the swing sets. He's putting gum on the back of the new kid's hair. And you're reporting this to the teacher, Congress, multiple times. And the bully comes in and says, well, I didn't do that today. You asked me not to do it this day, and I didn't do that. I did this instead. But that doesn't make me a bully. That just makes me a little unsure about where I stand. And so eventually the kids rally together and they say, we're tired of the bully. We're going to take out the bully. The NCAA is the bully. They are the people that are hindering success and progress with this sport, especially in a new era of college football. And so now you're watching as the SEC and the Big Ten, which are like the 9-year-olds hanging out with a bunch of 7-year-olds that were either held back a year or they have a little brother that's on the staff and they have recess at the same time. They're taking matters into their own hands and they're saying, we are done listening to the ramifications that clearly you have no process, no recollection, and more importantly, no end game in sight. And we're going to take matters into our own hands. Now, what exactly does this entail? It's interesting. because now we are talking about the college football playoff and how it is expanding. And I do think there is a reason why the SEC and the Big Ten didn't ask anybody to join them. For starters, number one, the alliance, that was just an oxymoron in itself. The only thing that they aligned on was not giving us a college football playoff expansion a year sooner. That was the only difference because of Texas and Oklahoma decided to hitch their wagon to the SEC and not stick around in the Big 12. Case in point, funny enough, 3 of those conferences, one no longer exists. 2 of them added in teams from the conference that no longer exists. So it's backstabbing on backstabbing on backstabbing. They didn't want that. They wanted everyone to know, we know where we rank among teams in the in the Power 4 level. We're going to treat ourselves as such. We are the royalty. You guys are like a part of the royal family, but really down low in the pecking order. And so now I think it's really important that they're taking over, because of not only is this going to affect the way of NIL works and the way that the transfer portal works and the way that we see maybe certain dates be changed in the future, especially when it comes to early signing period and National Signing Day, the transfer portal window, all those little tidbits. But it's also going to, I think, carry a little bit of weight when it comes to selection for the college football playoff. What do we know about the college football playoff moving forward? Well, as of today, there will be 4 buys. Usually, I would say for the Power 4 conferences. That's what I could only imagine. You win your conference in the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10. You get a bye. A group of 5 school has to get in. One group of 5 school has to get in, whether it be Boise State in the Mountain West or Tulane in the AAC. Maybe you want to throw in a team on the rise like Toledo or Miami of Ohio. They get in, and then we have 7 at-large bids. Would the SEC and the Big Ten, when you see their resume, their proof of concept, their annual revenue, what the annual viewership is, and what you return in annual process of returning talent, and when you rank inside the top 25, wouldn't you think that you deserve a little bit more garneration? And so I think it's really important that these 2 teams decide to link together. So that way in 2 years, when we have a finite answer of how the committee is going to look at college football playoff realignment, where we are now having conversations, are we putting in a 9-3 Tennessee team over a 10-2 Iowa State team? Are we putting in a 9-3 Iowa team or a 9-3 Nebraska team over a 9-3 West Virginia team or a 10-2 West Virginia team? I think that carries a little bit of weight, and they want to make sure that they got ahead of the curve on that. And so ultimately, the NCAA, they're never going to win in Congress. They never seem to win. This court case that's going on in Knoxville right now, and huge accolades go to Donnie Plowman and what she's done for her university, and more importantly, what she's doing for the future of college athletics. If you are a fan of college football, the way the game is right now, and you don't want to see any more detrimental change, you're rooting for Tennessee. You are rooting for West Virginia. I don't care that you bleed red and black or crimson and white. You are a fan of the Volunteers until this court case is settled. And if not, well, you just hate college football. Hate to break it to you. That's not on me. That's on you. But what's interesting is, again, now you're watching where this league could completely transform. If the NCAA doesn't have a say, well, then it goes to the power of the power of the athletic directors, the boosters, and the players. And so what's going to be really intriguing is seeing how the NCAA is no longer a factor, but how do we set relegations internally for our rosters? And every school at this point, if the NCAA doesn't have power, can be completely different. In the ACC, you can have a one-time transfer and a certain amount of money in NIL funds, and that goes towards the transfer portal and the recruiting trail. In the SEC, you can have a 2-time waiver, but you're never allowed to transfer again in the SEC. These are relegations that could be made by the commissioner and Greg Sankey that are completely different from every other conference. And ultimately, what I think that this does lead to, if the NCAA were to rid itself and they just want to be on their own path and say the major conferences want a switch up, is number one, eventually it leads to a college football commissioner, an actual dialect of the entire sport, who is overseeing the daily dosages and the daily duties of every conference commissioner and what the future is in store for all college football. And this includes NIL and transfer portal and them setting proper dates, or Super League. And Super League, what it's going to come down to is you're going to have 50 to 60 teams play against each other every single Saturday in a rotational format where you'll get better games. Yeah, you won't have all these undefeated records like you once saw, but the quality of competition is going to be much more positive. I think that the games are going to see higher ratings. You're going to get better revenue. And the revenue that comes in is separated accordingly for the schools. And maybe that's what they're looking forward to. But it's abundantly clear that with the Big Ten and the SEC teaming up together, they believe that they are the pioneers and the faces of athletics moving forward. And they kind of are. I mean, if you look at just the stat lines and overall productivity of what we've seen from those two conferences, not just in college football, but in all athletics, they reign supreme. They have their footing underneath them. And they also just signed a major media rights deal that is second to none compared to the ACC and the Big 12. So I do think that there is a reason why these two teams, I mean, these two conferences are forefront at every conversation. And I think it actually could end up leading to where we have a separation. Is that a bad thing for college football? Maybe, maybe not actually. Maybe this is actually the best thing that could happen to college football, where we give the power to the people. And sometimes when you give the power to the people, they make the right decisions. Sometimes it comes back and blows up in your face. Who's to say? All we know is that time and patience is going to give us an answer to that. But we do have an answer right now of what looks to be the now baseline moving forward in college football. The SEC and the Big Ten are making final says. They're going to do everything in their power to build for their future and for the future of college athletics still being stable. And if this works, we won't have the NCAA anymore. They'll still be around as just volunteers, as tribute, but they're not going to carry the same type of potential or weight that was a part of the BCS era, part of the 14 college football playoff era. And they're basically just going to be an artifact sitting on top of the shelves in the history of the college football landscape. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.